Good afternoon. Today I am talking about the 5 key areas for business success. Now, these are areas based on experience over the years where I have really identified that if these are not nailed, it will ultimately have a significant impact on your business and potentially lead you into difficulties. So listen up. The first one, business planning, right? Now, business planning can encompass a lot of different areas. And what I would say, the main things in terms of the business planning side, you need to make sure that you focus on. Number one, setting goals. If you don't set goals, then how do you know where you're going to get there? So make sure that you set, even whether it's, you need financial goals, you need other goals such as marketing. Where do you ultimately want to be in the business? So think about where you want to be. One of the key things with goal setting is you need to make sure that you reverse engineer as to how you're going to achieve that, right? The second thing would be in terms of your actual services that you're going to offer that resonates with your ideal clients, right? You need to make sure that your pricing is clear, and are you pricing it based on the value in which you provide? But also business planning can include things like staff. What staff do you need? When do you intend to implement recruiting those staff? What technology you need within your business? So there is quite a bit that encompasses business planning, and you should have a business plan, or what I like to call a business growth plan. So that's number one, business planning. Number two, financials. Know your numbers. Now, this is something that I see time and time again with businesses where they're so busy in the doing in terms of the client delivery, all of that side of things. But what they seem to actually miss is, are they actually in profit? Is there cash in the bank? Because there is a difference between profit and cash. Now, for example, one of my clients I've been working closely with to get their numbers in a straight position. Now, when they first started working with me, they thought that they were in a really dire financial situation. They didn't have cash in the bank, and it certainly wasn't consistent cash, right? And they just didn't have a handle on where they were, cash, profit, turnover, nothing. Now, I've been working with them, and actually we've now got to the point where we can start to see where the business actually is and where it's been over the last 12 months or so, and how actually the business has grown exponentially, particularly over the last 6 months. And how we know that is because we're now on top of the numbers. We can actually look to see in the accounts where they are. This also encompasses things like credit control. Are you on top of how much your client owes you? Are you on top of what you need to be paying to your suppliers? Knowing your numbers is a game changer for your business, because ultimately, if you don't know where you are, how can you then set goals as to where you want to be, right? So it all ties in together. Number three, marketing. Oh my word, in terms of marketing, and this is where probably one of the biggest downfalls that I had when I was running my law firm. I knew nothing about marketing. I had, and I've talked about this quite a few times, I had a website, I had some social media channels, I would be putting ads in the local newspaper and magazine, and I thought the phone would just be ringing off the hook. No, doesn't work like that, because ultimately there is a lot more strategy that needs to go behind the scenes before you even start on what I call the marketing activities. So what strategy am I talking about? Your ideal client, who it is. Now, the amount of times I'll have a conversation with people and they say, oh, I know who my ideal client, they are in this niche, they are this niche, or, they are women who, who like to do a certain activity, etc. That is not deep enough, really not deep enough, because you've got to literally get to know, and every single time you are putting marketing out there or you're making a business decision, you have to actually name, for example, your ideal client and be picturing them every single time you're making that decision. And you need to know exactly what their problems are, what are their pains, what are their challenges, how do they feel, where do they congregate. All of this information you need to collate to be able to really know your ideal client. Then you've got to create a marketing message that is compelling to your ideal client and pushes away the people who you don't want to work with. And this is really, really fundamental pieces, because often where I'm seeing is people are putting content out on a constant basis, but there is no aim in terms of who it's actually supposed to be at. And what you'll end up doing is you will be attracting, if you attract anybody, you'll be attracting probably the wrong type of people who you don't want to be working with. So they are two key fundamental parts of your strategy. Then you can start thinking about, okay, how do you then become visible to these people, right? So that is where you're thinking about your website, and that's when you're thinking about your content marketing, so blog creation, vlogs, social media content, all of that side of things. Then you can start thinking about, well, what is going to actually appeal to your ideal client. Then you've got, fourth, your sales. Ultimately, your sales are the lifeblood of your business. If you don't make sales, you don't make money, you don't have a business. And this is, again, somewhere where I often see businesses fall down, because they turn around and say, well, I'm a lawyer, I'm not a salesperson. Oh, I am I'm just trying to think of other examples. I'm a web developer, I'm not a salesperson. I'm a recruiter, I'm not a salesperson, right? Whatever industry you are in, you are a salesperson. You might not like the label, but ultimately sales is what you do. That is how, when you have a lead, you have an inquiry coming through and you convert them into cash in the bank. That is sales in essence. So everybody who is a business owner, you are a salesperson. And ultimately, you need to make sure that you have nailed that sales process before you start recruiting people. Because if you don't know your sales process, if you don't know the language in which your ideal clients need to hear for them to be converted, how can you then train somebody to actually then be your sales, to actually get those sales in for you? You can't. So you need to be fundamentally on top of your sales, right? But you also need to be on top of that marketing side of things as well, because they go hand in hand. Because if you don't get your marketing right, you don't get the right people that are making inquiries with you, and therefore it's then harder to convert them. So make sure you've got a solid sales process. Then you have got the mindset. That is your fifth part to it, because if you do not have the right mindset, then I can guarantee as soon as you are faced with hurdles, you will want to give up and walk away. And don't get me wrong, there are times, even with a solid mindset, you still have those, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? How am I going to cope? Is this really worth me doing this? I've had enough. You still will have those, but it's things like focusing on your why. Why did you set up your business in the first place? What is your bigger, higher purpose? What is the difference you want to make in the world? All of this ties into your mindset. Because if you have these things, so when you do get something, and you can guarantee you will be faced with challenges, right? And they'll be big, they'll be small, but you will have challenges along the way. If you have this why, this purpose, it makes a big difference in terms of how you then continue to put the steps forward, right? So mindset is absolutely fundamental to your business success. Now, I'm not going to pretend there are not other things that will also be key to your business success. There is things like ancillary things like technology, staff, which I've touched upon in terms of business planning, but also, in terms of the your client, your customer delivery. All of these things are ultimately fundamental to the success of your business. But the 5 key areas, if you get those nailed, the rest of it actually then starts to follow, and it makes it so much easier for you. Now, the key thing is if you want to get real hints, not just hints and tips, but real solid advice on how you can implement all 5 of those areas into your business today completely for free, then what you need to do is you need to sign up for the Peak Business Performance Challenge, which I am running from the 17th of June. If you want if you want advice, real solid advice that you can implement into your business today, then you need to join the challenge. How you join the challenge is simple. Just put the word challenge in the comments and I'll get you signed up. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.